How do you make progress every day no matter what? That's the question. Because life doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It doesn't care if you're tired, unmotivated, or unsure. Life keeps moving, with or without you. And the key to success, the key to fulfillment, is making sure you're moving with it. Now, progress doesn't have to be massive. It doesn't need to be flashy. It doesn't even have to be obvious to anyone but you. But it must be consistent, a little bit every day. Because the greatest transformations in life don't come from one big decision. They don't come from one lucky break. They come from small daily disciplines stacked over time. Most people are waiting. They're waiting for motivation to hit, waiting for the right time, waiting until they feel ready. But here's the truth. Motivation is unreliable. The right time, it rarely comes. Feeling ready, that's a myth. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones with the best circumstances. They're the ones who made progress despite their circumstances. So how do you do it? How do you keep moving forward when you're tired, when life gets hard, when the results aren't coming as fast as you want? That's what we're going to talk about. Not theories, not wishful thinking, but real, practical ways to make sure you get something out of every single day. Because at the end of the day, progress is a decision. And once you understand the mechanics of it, once you learn how to create momentum every single day, nothing can stop you. Let's get started. Progress is not an accident, it's a choice. Every single day, you are either moving forward or standing still. And here's the truth. If you're not actively growing, you're falling behind. Because life doesn't stop, time doesn't wait, and success doesn't come to those who hesitate. It comes to those who decide, those who take control of their actions, their habits, and their mindset. Most people don't struggle with taking action, they struggle with consistency. They start strong, full of motivation, but when life gets busy, when things don't go as planned, they slow down. They start skipping the little things. They start making excuses. And eventually, they stop. Not because they don't want to succeed, not because they haven't trained themselves to push forward, even when they don't feel like it. And that's the problem. Most people rely on motivation. But motivation is like the weather. It changes. It's unpredictable. Some days you feel inspired. Some days you don't. And if you build your success on motivation alone, you will fail. Think about it. If success depended on motivation, everyone would be successful. Everyone would be fit, wealthy, and fulfilled, but they're not. Why? Because motivation is unreliable. It fades. It disappears when life gets tough. And if you only take action when you feel like it, you'll never build the discipline needed to keep going. The most successful people don't wake up every day and ask themselves, do I feel like doing this? No. They wake up and decide, I'm doing this, no matter what. They don't leave room for negotiation. They don't give themselves an option to quit. Because they know when you start negotiating with yourself, you lose. But most people, they give themselves too many options. Should I get up early or sleep in? Should I go to the gym or take a rest day? Should I work on my goals or push them to tomorrow? And here's the truth. When you give yourself an option, you give yourself an excuse. Your mind will always choose the path of least resistance. It will always look for comfort. That's why discipline is the key. Discipline means making a commitment and sticking to it. Not just when you feel like it, not just when it's easy, every single day. Because the moment you start negotiating, you've already lost. So here's the first rule of progress. Make your standards non-negotiable. Not optional, not dependent on how you feel, just what you do. If you said you were going to wake up at 6 a.m., you wake up at 6 a.m. If you said you were going to work out, you work out. No excuses. If you said you were going to work on your goals, you do it, even if no one is watching. This is how you build self-respect. And self-respect is what leads to confidence. Because confidence isn't about talent. It's not about luck. It's about trusting yourself. Most people don't trust themselves because they've broken too many promises to themselves. They've said, I'll start tomorrow, too many times. And deep down, they know they won't follow through. But here's the good news. You can rebuild that trust. How? by keeping your word, by following through, even in the smallest way. Because every time you do what you say you're going to do, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. And that changes everything. Think about it. If you had a friend who constantly made promises but never kept them, would you trust them? No. And the same applies to you. If you don't trust yourself, you won't believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, you won't take the actions necessary to succeed. But when you start keeping your word, even in the smallest ways, something shifts. You start to believe in yourself again. You start to trust that you can follow through. And that trust turns into confidence. And confidence turns into momentum. And momentum is powerful. Because when you start stacking small wins every day, you start to feel unstoppable. You stop hesitating. You stop second-guessing yourself. And you start taking action automatically. Now, there's something else that stops people from making progress. It's one of the biggest killers of success. It's called the all-or-nothing mindset. Progress is not about perfection. It's about motion. It's about taking small steps forward. Every single day, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of how you feel, regardless of whether you're seeing instant results or not. But most people don't think this way. Most people fall into a trap that stops their progress dead in its tracks. It's one of the biggest reasons why people start but never finish, why they set big goals but never follow through. It's called the all-or-nothing mindset. You've seen it before. Maybe you've even experienced it. It's the person who says, if I can't go to the gym for an hour today, I won't go at all. It's the student who says, if I don't have time to study for 3 hours, there's no point in opening my book. It's the entrepreneur who thinks, if I can't work on my business for a full day, I might as well not bother. This mindset is dangerous because in their mind, anything less than perfect is worthless. And if it's not perfect, it's not worth doing. But here's the problem. Life is not perfect. Circumstances change. You will get busy. You will get tired. You will have days where things don't go as planned. And if your success depends on everything going perfectly, you're setting yourself up to fail. Because perfection is an illusion. It doesn't exist. No one is perfect. No one follows their plan flawlessly. And the people who succeed in life, they aren't the ones who do everything perfectly. They're the ones who keep going. Even when things aren't perfect. Even when they only have a little time. Even when they can only give 50% instead of 100%. Because something is always better than nothing. But most people don't see it that way. They wait. They wait for the perfect conditions. They wait until they feel ready. They wait until they have the time to give it their all. And what happens? Days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into months. And suddenly they realize they're in the exact same place they were before. No progress, no momentum, just frustration. And all because they believe the lie that if it's not perfect, it's not worth doing. Let me tell you something. Progress is messy. It's imperfect. It's showing up even when you don't feel like it. It's doing something, even if it's small. Because small steps stack up. They compound. They create momentum. And momentum is what turns small efforts into big results over time. Think about it like this. Imagine you want to get in shape. You make a plan to work out 5 days a week. But one day, life gets in the way. You're busy. You're tired. You only have 15 minutes. The all-or-nothing mindset says, that's not enough. I'll just skip today. But the person who understands real progress, they do something. Maybe it's 10 push-ups. Maybe it's a quick walk. Maybe it's stretching for 5 minutes. It doesn't seem like much. But here's what happens. By taking action, even in a small way, they keep the habit alive. And keeping the habit alive is everything. Because when you keep showing up, even in small ways, you build identity. You start to see yourself as someone who is consistent, someone who follows through, someone who doesn't quit just because things aren't perfect. And that mindset shift, it changes everything. Now, let's talk about the science behind this. There's a principle called the 1% rule. It says that if you improve by just 1% every day, in a year, you won't just be 365% better. Because of compounding, you'll be over 37 times better. Think about that. Just a tiny improvement, repeated consistently, leads to massive results. But what happens if you do nothing every time conditions aren't perfect? You stay stuck. You stay in the same place, waiting, wishing, hoping for a perfect day that never comes. The most successful people in the world, they don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't wait until they have hours of free time to work on their goals. They don't wait until they feel motivated. They do what they can with what they have, where they are. And over time, those small efforts stack up into unstoppable progress. Now I want you to imagine something. Imagine two people standing at the base of a mountain. They both want to reach the top. One of them says, I'm going to wait until the weather is perfect, until I have all the best gear, until I feel completely ready. And so they stand there, waiting. The other person, they start climbing. Slowly, imperfectly, one small step at a time. And after a while, guess what happens? The first person is still standing at the bottom, waiting for the perfect conditions that never come. And the second person, they're halfway up the mountain. That's life. The people who succeed aren't the ones who wait. They're the ones who start. Even when it's messy, even when it's imperfect, even when they can only give 10% instead of 100%. Because progress isn't about being perfect, it's about being consistent. So the question is, where in your life are you waiting for perfection? Where are you telling yourself, if I can't do it perfectly, I won't do it at all? Because that mindset, that's what's holding you back. The key to making progress every day is understanding that small things matter. A 5-minute workout is better than no workout. Writing one page is better than writing none. Making one call is better than doing nothing. Because every time you take action, no matter how small, you are reinforcing the habit of consistency. And consistency is what leads to real results. Now, we're going to talk about another critical piece of daily progress: mastering your focus. Because what you focus on expands. And if you're focusing on the wrong things, you're sabotaging your progress before you even begin. There's an old saying that goes, where your attention goes, your energy flows. It's simple, but it's true. What you focus on grows. If you're constantly focused on what you don't have, on the things that are going wrong, on the obstacles in your way, then you're feeding your mind with negativity. And here's what happens when you do that. Your mind becomes clouded with doubt, and your progress slows to a halt. But if you focus on what you can control, on the actions you can take, on the small steps forward, you will move, no matter how small those steps might be. It's not about ignoring the challenges or pretending things are perfect. It's about choosing where to place your focus. And I'll tell you something that might surprise you. What you focus on determines how far you'll go. So, how do you control your focus? First, let me tell you what you don't do. You don't spend your days obsessing over the things you can't control. You don't let yourself be pulled into negativity, into fear, into worry. You don't focus on how hard things are or how long the road ahead seems. Because when you do that, you reinforce the very feelings of helplessness and frustration that will keep you stuck. Instead, you focus on your next step. You focus on what you can do right now. You focus on making progress, however small, no matter how insignificant it may seem. That's how you keep moving forward. And that's how you start creating momentum that will carry you toward your goals, even when the obstacles feel overwhelming. Now, I'm going to tell you something that could change everything for you. You can't control the circumstances. Life is unpredictable. There will always be things outside your control. Unexpected challenges, roadblocks, things that throw you off course. But here's the good news. You can control your response. You can choose to focus on what you can do, on what you can control. And when you do that, you create a mindset of resilience, a mindset that refuses to be defeated by circumstances. Take a moment to think about this. How many times have you spent hours worrying about something that never even happened? How many times have you found yourself focused on a problem only to find that it wasn't as big of a deal as you thought? That's the power of focus. When you focus on the wrong things, on the challenges, on the things you can't control, you give them power over you. But when you focus on your next step, on taking action, on making progress, you take the power back. You take back control over your mind and your future. And that is what separates the successful from the unsuccessful. The ability to focus on what really matters. So, how do you do this? How do you shift your focus from the obstacles to the opportunities? It starts with a decision. It starts with choosing to look at the situation through the lens of possibility. Instead of thinking, this is too hard, you think, what's the smallest thing I can do today to keep moving forward? Instead of thinking, I'll never be able to do this, you think, what can I learn from this situation that will make me better? The key to making progress every day, no matter what, is learning how to stay focused on what matters. It's about choosing to put your energy into actions, not excuses. It's about choosing to see opportunity in every setback and to keep your attention on the next step, no matter how small it is. Now, I know this isn't easy. It takes discipline. It takes practice. But here's the truth. If you can train your mind to focus on the right things, you'll start to see results. Your mindset will shift, your energy will change, and suddenly, things that once seemed impossible will start to feel achievable. And here's the most powerful part. This shift in focus will not only help you make progress, it will help you build confidence. You see, every time you take control of your focus and take action in the right direction, you reinforce the belief that you are capable. You prove to yourself that no matter what's happening around you, you can still move forward. But it all starts with focus. Without it, all the effort in the world won't matter. With it, even the smallest efforts will accumulate into massive results over time. Now that you've learned how to master your focus, we're going to take it a step further in the next part. We'll dive into how you can maximize your time to ensure you're making progress every single day, regardless of the distractions that try to pull you off course. Because the truth is, time is your most valuable resource, and how you use it will determine whether you make progress or not. Time. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. The question is, how are you using them? You see, the difference between those who make progress every day and those who don't often comes down to one thing: how they manage their time. Time, unlike money, once spent is gone forever. And when you waste it, it's not something you can get back. Now let me ask you a tough question. How much of your time is really being spent on what matters most? Or are you letting distractions steal away your precious moments? Think about it. How often do you scroll through social media for an hour when you could have spent that time working on your goals? How often do you procrastinate, telling yourself that you'll get started tomorrow, only to find that tomorrow never comes? The truth is, most people waste time. They waste it on things that don't move them forward, on things that won't help them achieve their goals. But here's the secret. If you want to make progress every day, you must take control of your time. You must stop letting distractions run your life. You must become intentional with every single minute. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It doesn't mean you can't enjoy yourself or have moments of relaxation, but it does mean that you have to be deliberate about how you spend your time. You must create a daily schedule that aligns with your goals and your vision for your life. Let me give you an example of how you can do this. Let's say you want to get in shape. You don't need to spend hours in the gym every day. Instead, you can carve out 30 minutes every morning. It's not about finding the perfect time. It's about making time. You don't have to wait for the perfect conditions. You make the decision to invest that 30 minutes every day. And let me tell you something. those 30 minutes will compound over time. The same applies to your career or your business. It's not about waiting for a big break or the perfect moment to start. It's about making progress every day, even if it's just a small task. Maybe it's sending an email. Maybe it's learning something new. Maybe it's organizing your work for the next day. These small actions, when done consistently, will add up over time and lead to significant progress. Now, I'm going to give you another piece of advice that has helped me tremendously. You must learn to eliminate distractions. Distractions are the enemies of progress. They pull your focus away from what matters. They steal your time. If you want to make progress every day, you need to identify what distracts you and eliminate it as much as possible. This might mean turning off notifications on your phone, setting specific times for checking emails, or even creating a designated workspace where you can focus without interruptions. The point is, you must take control of your environment. You must protect your time like it's your most valuable asset. Because it is. And here's the most important thing to remember. Making progress every day isn't about working harder, it's about being smarter with your time. It's about prioritizing the things that will actually move you closer to your goals. Ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do today that will make the biggest impact? And focus on that. When you start managing your time in a way that aligns with your goals, everything starts to shift. You become more productive, you start seeing results, and those small daily actions start adding up to something much bigger than you could have imagined. But here's the catch. This takes discipline. It takes practice. It won't always be easy. You will face distractions. You will have days when you don't feel like putting in the work. But that's when you have to remind yourself of the bigger picture. You have to keep your focus on the long-term goal, not just the momentary discomfort. Over time, this discipline becomes a habit. And once it becomes a habit, it becomes automatic. You'll find yourself making progress without even thinking about it. And that's when you know you're truly on the path to success. In the next part, we're going to dive deeper into something that often holds people back: the fear of failure. Fear can paralyze us, make us hesitate, and stop us from taking action. But here's the thing. Fear is just a feeling, and feelings are temporary. If you learn how to overcome your fear, you'll be unstoppable. We're going to explore how to shift your mindset and turn fear into fuel for your progress. Stay tuned. Fear is something we all experience. It's part of the human condition. But if you let fear control you, if you let it stop you from taking action, it will hold you back from making progress every day. So, what can you do about it? How do you turn fear into something that works for you instead of against you? The first thing to understand about fear is this: it's not a sign that you're weak or incapable. Fear is a signal. It's your mind telling you that you're stepping outside your comfort zone. It's a signal that you're about to grow, to stretch, to move beyond your current limitations. Fear is a natural response to the unknown, but it doesn't have to paralyze you. Instead, it can be the fuel that drives you forward. You see, we often think that to make progress every day, we need to be fearless. But that's not true. You don't need to eliminate fear to move forward. What you need is to act in spite of it. Fear can either stop you or drive you, and the choice is yours. The most successful people in the world didn't avoid fear. They learned how to use it to propel themselves toward their goals. Let me share a story with you to illustrate this. There was a time in my own life when I was scared to speak in front of others. The idea of getting up on a stage and talking to a crowd terrified me. I remember shaking in my boots before stepping onto the stage for the first time. But here's the thing. I didn't wait for the fear to disappear. I didn't let it stop me. I did it anyway. And as I started speaking more, the fear didn't go away, but I learned how to manage it. I used that fear as a reminder that I was on the verge of something new, something important. And over time, I became more confident, more capable, and less afraid. The key to making progress every day is to recognize that fear is just part of the process. It's not something to avoid, it's something to embrace. Every time you face your fears, you grow. Every time you push through that discomfort, you make progress. And progress is the result of consistent action, no matter how small. But how do you take that first step? How do you overcome the paralyzing fear that often comes with starting something new? It starts with changing your perspective. Instead of seeing fear as a barrier, start seeing it as a sign that you're on the right path. Fear means you're growing. Fear means you're challenging yourself. Fear means you're making progress. One of the most powerful tools you can use to overcome fear is visualization. Before you take action, close your eyes and imagine the positive outcome. See yourself succeeding. Picture yourself moving through the fear and coming out on the other side stronger, more capable, and closer to your goals. When you visualize success, you're training your mind to focus on the positive outcome rather than the potential for failure. Another important thing to remember is that fear often comes from uncertainty. We fear what we don't understand. But here's a secret: uncertainty is a part of life. It's impossible to predict every outcome, and that's okay. What matters is that you take action despite the uncertainty. Even if you don't have all the answers, even if you're not sure what will happen, taking that first step is what will move you forward. The more you act, the more confident you become. The more confident you become, the less fear holds you back. As you move forward, it's also important to remind yourself that failure is not the end. It's just a lesson. Each failure brings you closer to success because it teaches you what doesn't work, which is just as valuable as learning what does work. The key is to not let failure stop you. Don't let it define you. Instead, use it to fuel your next move. Remember, failure is temporary. It's just part of the journey. Fear also tends to grow when we isolate ourselves. When we face challenges alone, fear feels much larger than it actually is. But when we share our struggles, seek support, and connect with others who understand what we're going through, we can face fear together. Surround yourself with people who encourage you, who help you see your potential, and who push you to be better. With the right support system, fear becomes much more manageable. Now, I'm not saying that you'll never feel fear again. You will. But what I am saying is this: fear doesn't have to stop you. It can propel you. When you learn to act in spite of fear, when you learn to turn that fear into energy that drives you, you will make progress every single day. So, what's the next step? What's the one thing you can do today that scares you? What fear can you face head on? Don't wait for the fear to go away. Take action anyway, because the more you act, the less fear will control you, and the more progress you'll make one day at a time. So as we wrap up this conversation, let me remind you of something incredibly important. Progress is not about perfection. It's not about waiting for the perfect conditions or the perfect moment. It's about showing up every day, no matter how you feel, no matter how difficult it seems, no matter how much fear tries to hold you back. Progress is about taking small steps consistently and refusing to stop. If you want to achieve anything in life, the key is simple. Keep moving forward. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for the right motivation. Don't wait for the stars to align. Start now and keep going, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it. Because it's in those moments when it feels hardest to keep going that the most progress is made. You are capable of achieving more than you can imagine, but it all starts with the daily decisions you make. Your future is determined by the habits you form today. If you commit to making progress, even if it's just a small step, every single day, you will find that the life you want is not far away. It's already in the making, one step at a time. Remember, progress is a decision. The decision to keep going, the decision to push through, the decision to act even when you don't feel like it. That's the real secret to success. Not luck, not timing, not the absence of fear, just the relentless, daily decision to keep moving forward. Now I challenge you. Make today the day you stop negotiating with yourself. Make today the day you choose progress over excuses. Make today the day you decide to take one small step forward, no matter how big or small it seems. That's how you build momentum. That's how you make progress every day. Keep this in mind as you go forward. The greatest transformations in life don't come from one big leap. They come from the small, consistent steps you take every day. So let today be the first step in a long journey of progress. And tomorrow, do the same. Because the key to success is not waiting for a breakthrough. It's about creating breakthroughs every single day. Thank you for joining me today. Let's make progress together, one day at a time. Stay committed, stay focused, and remember, your success is already in the making. Keep moving forward.